Hello all. Today our topic is microprocessor. You could have heard this word microprocessor or processor in your daily life. For example, if you take your motherboard, which is in a laptop or desktop computers, you could see one square shaped, one black color component on the motherboard. That is nothing but of a processor, or it can be called as a microprocessor. This is located in your central processing unit. So why it is called as a central processing unit? In the sense that processor or microprocessor, or simply it is called as a MP or MUP. This is a very important component in your computer. So that's why it is called as a central processing unit, right? That performs so many kinds of operations which you are giving, and according to the input what we are giving, that performs the operation and giving the output according to the statement. So computer central processing unit, CPU, built on a single integrated circuit, that is IC, is called a microprocessor. A digital computer with one microprocessor which acts as a CPU is called a microcomputer. So this what is inside the microprocessor? We cannot able to see physically what is there inside the microprocessor. Actually, the microprocessor contains millions of tiny components like transistors, registers, and diodes that work together to perform the operation. So this is the microprocessor. Then let us see one by one what are the components inside in the microprocessor and features, and how it is working, that we will discuss one by one. See, this is the typical block diagram of microprocessor. This microprocessor having the major components are inside the microprocessor. There are major components like ALU, control unit, register array or registers, memory unit, and output device and input device. As I said already, this microprocessor is the brain of your computer. So here this ALU is nothing but of arithmetic logic unit, which performs the arithmetic and as well as the logical operation like subtraction, addition, and operation or operation like that. And control unit, which controls the every operations performed by your microprocessor. Then register array or registers, which is nothing but of which is used to store the temporary datas and instructions. And memory unit is used to store the datas and everything, etc. Then input and output device. So that is simply called as I by O, that is input and output device. For example, if you take your computer, your desktop computer or your laptop, so that input which is nothing but of your keyboard, and the output you can tell that is a display, or which the printer or your scanner. The scanner is input, the printer is the output, and the input which is nothing but of your keyboard. So the input which what we are giving, what we are typing on the keyboard, which is processed by the processor inside the laptop and performs the appropriate operation, and it will it gives to the output device like your monitor or printer or any other output device, right? So the whole operation in the whole thing, this microprocessor is the very important, that performs the major role in this whole operation. So that's why we are calling this microprocessor is the brain of our computer systems. So this is the typical block diagram of microprocessor. And let us see the evolution of microprocessor. So there are 5 generations of microprocessor. So starting from first generation to fifth generation, there are so many inventions and developments we came across. So let us look at the first generation. So the first generation microprocessor were introduced in the year 1971 to 1972 by the Intel Corporation. So Intel, you know already, we have many laptops which uses the Intel processor, right? So it was named Intel 4004 since it was a 4-bit processor, right? So the very first generation microprocessor is a 4-bit microprocessor. So that means it can able to perform only the 4-bit operations. So 4-bit operations, it is nothing but a 4-bit in the sense it may be 1001 or 1101, 1111 or 000. Likewise, 4-bit operation only it can able to perform. So it could perform only the simple arithmetic and logical operations such as addition, subtraction, then Boolean OR and Boolean AND perform operations. So other advanced operations cannot be performed by the 4-bit microprocessor. So the very first generation microprocessor is a 4-bit microprocessor. It is named as Intel 4004. And the next second generation microprocessor is a 8-bit microprocessor. So the second generation microprocessor were introduced in 1973 again by Intel only, and it was the first 8-bit microprocessor which could perform arithmetic and logic operation on 8-bit words. So whereas the previous generation microprocessor is 4004, only it can perform 4-bit operation, but here this is a 8-bit microprocessor, it can able to perform 8-bit operations, right? So it was Intel 8008, and other improved version was Intel 8088. And later period the 80888 was developed. And next, third generation microprocessor. Here in third generation the performance of the microprocessor which is increased because the performance of operations from 8-bit to it has enhanced to 16-bit operation. So the third generation microprocessor introduced by Intel in 1978, and it is called as a Intel's 8086, or it can be called as 8086 microprocessor. And Zilog Z800 and 80286, which were 16-bit microprocessor with the performance like mini computers. And the next, fourth generation microprocessor. So the fourth generation microprocessor which uses 32-bit microprocessor. So several different companies introduced 32-bit microprocessor, but the most popular one is Intel 80386. And the fifth generation microprocessor which uses the 64-bit microprocessor from 1995 to now we are in the fifth generation. After 80856, Intel came out with a new processor, namely Pentium processor, followed by Pentium Pro CPU, which allows multiple CPUs in a single system to achieve multiprocessing. Other improved 64-bit processors are Celeron dual quad octa-core processors. So these are all the 5 evolutions from first generation to fifth generation, starting from 4-bit to 64-bit operations microprocessor we discussed, right? Then next is the working of a microprocessor. See, in any microprocessor, whatever it may be 4004 or 8085 or 8086 or any kind of a microprocessor which performs the same operation, that is nothing but of the operation which will be in some sequence, some ordered sequence, that is nothing but of fetch, decode and execute. Fetch, decode and then execute. So what is this fetch, decode and then execute is nothing but of initially the instruction are stored in the storage memory of the computer in a sequential order. The microprocessor fetches in the sense getting those instruction from stored area. So the stored area obviously called as a memory. Then decodes it and executes those instruction till stop instruction is met. Then it sends the results in binary form to the output port. Between these process, the register stores the temporary data and ALU performs the computing functions. So this is the working of a microprocessor. Generally, this is the typical operation of a microprocessor. It is applicable to any kind of a microprocessors. Then next, the features of microprocessor are advantages of microprocessor. So it is a low cost, because since the size is very small size, so the component cost is very low, and it performs the high speed operations, and small size, and versatile in the sense it can be used for many kind of applications. It can be used anywhere, so that's why it is called as a versatile. And low power consumption, since the component size is very small, so it requires very less power to operate. So low power consumption is the biggest advantage of your microprocessor, and less heat generation, reliable, and then portable. So this is our topic, 8085 microprocessor architecture. So this is the architecture of 8085 microprocessor. Here we already in the very first initially we discussed the typical block diagram of your microprocessor. There we saw ALU, then control unit, then memory unit, input and output that we discussed. See, this is the some elaborate version of this typical block diagram which we discussed initially. See, here you could see, so this is this is your ALU, this is the major part, and these are all the register arrays which I told in the very previous slides. Register arrays and control unit, timing and control units, this is the third section, and then input and output device, so other those things, so the arrow mark and this representation, that are all nothing but of which each and everything which performs some operation that we will discuss further. So according to the 8085 microprocessor architecture, there are only three major parts are there. One is register array, another one is timing and control, then another one is a ALU, arithmetic logic unit. So this is the 8085 microprocessor pin configuration. So this 8085 microprocessor has 40 pins. Each and every pin in the 8085 microprocessor which is used to perform on different kinds of operations. You see here 1 to 20, then 21 to 40. So there are totally 40 pins. So 40 pins, each pin which is used to perform a kind of operation. So to operate the operations in the particular pin, we have to give the signal, corresponding signal we have to give in the particular pin, then only it can able to perform the operation. So this is the pin diagram of 8085 microprocessor or 8085 microprocessor pin configuration. Then, so this is the 8085 microprocessor, Intel's 8085 microprocessor IC. So physically you can it look like this, right? So it has 40 pins. In the previous slide I have shown the 40 pin configuration, right? Here in this side you have 20 pins, and the other side it has another 20 pins. So totally 40 pins will be there. So this is the 8085 microprocessor IC. So you could see it's a very small in size, right? So That's why it is very portable, and it is uses very less power and very low cost. So these are all the advantages why we are using the 8085 microprocessor. This is the reason behind this. Uh, so Intel 8085 microprocessor, it's a 8-bit microprocessor, and the method, the technique which is used to develop the 8085 microprocessor is NMOS technique. That is N metal oxide semiconductor, and it is designed by Intel in 1977. So according to the configuration of Intel 8085 microprocessor, it has 40 pin IC package fabricated on a single LSI chip, large scale integration chip. The Intel uses a signal 5 voltage DC, right? See, 5 only, it uses the 5 plus 5 voltage DC supply for its operation. So it is very minimum voltage, DC voltage. So that's why we already mentioned that 8085 requires only very less power. It takes only the less power, right? Then the next point, Intel 8085's clock speed is 3 megahertz. So the clock cycle is of 320 nanoseconds. So the based on the clock speed only, the execution will be uh, performed. So the operation and instruction fetch and execution, processing and everything depends on the clock speed. Simply, the clock speed determines the speed of your microprocessor, speed of operation of your microprocessor, and it has a 8-bit data bus. So since it is a 8-bit microprocessor, so the data must be transferred to the between registers and memories, right? Should be taken by the one kind of a bus. Bus is nothing but of a collection of wires which carries the informations, carries the information in the sense here it is a data. So that too, the data here 8085 is 8-bit data, so it requires 8-bit data bus. So in your 8085, it is a 8-bit database is available to carry the 8-bit data. The next Intel, then another feature is address bus is 16-bit, which can address up to 64 KB. So here data bus is a 8-bit data bus, but in the address bus it has 16-bit address bus. So you should not confused with each other. Address bus is 16-bit and the database is 8-bit. So because it has a 16-bit which can address up 64 KB, up to 64 KB, and it has a 16-bit stack pointer and a 16-bit program counter and 6 8-bit registers that are arranged in pairs B, C, D, E and HL. The stack pointer and the program counter in the later PPT slides I will tell you, I will explain this. Then here it has a 8-bit registers. I already told registers are nothing but of simply a temporary storage device which is used to store the data during the microprocessor operations. So that's the main objective, main operations of your registers. And when it comes to the applications, so 8085, Intel 8085, which is used in mobile phones, microwave ovens and washing machines, etc. See the processor nowadays which is used in every electronic gadgets, even your your mobile phone uses the microprocessor, and your computers, laptop computers, desktop computers, everything which uses the microprocessor, right? So many devices which uses the microprocessors. Not only we cannot bound the applications of microprocessor within this, because it is used in a versatile applications. And let us discuss the each and every blocks in your 8085 microprocessor which was shown in the previous slides. So the first very important block is ALU. So ALU is nothing but of arithmetic and logic unit. It is used to perform the operations of arithmetic and as well as the logical operations. So those are nothing but of addition, subtraction, logical and logical or logical exclusive or complement, that is logical not, then increment, add one, decrement, subtract one, left shift, left, rotate right, clear, etc. So these are all the operations which is performed by the ALU, arithmetic and logic unit. So the next thing is timing and control unit. So it is used to generate timing and control signals which are necessary for the execution of instructions, and it is used to control data flow between CPU and peripherals. So CPU and peripherals. So what is peripherals? Here is nothing but of we have I said there are input and output devices required. So only the processor which cannot do anything, right? We supposed to give some input, and then only it can be able to perform, and as well as we need an output device also, then only it can able to show up the outputs for our inputs. See, so this peripheral here is nothing but of which is it's nothing but of it is an input and output or memory, right? So this timing and control, it is used to control the data flow between CPU and peripherals including memory. So thus we can see that the control unit of the CPU acts as the brain of the computer system. And the next important block is registers. So as I said, registers are used for temporary storage and manipulation of data and instruction by the microprocessor. Data remain in the registers till they are sent to the IO devices or memory. So the following registers are available in the 8085 microprocessor. So here it has one 8-bit accumulator that is called as ACC, or it can be called as A or register A. So all the names are applicable for this one. And 6 general purpose registers of 8-bit. These are B, C, D, E, H and L, and one 16-bit stack pointer that is represented as SP, and one 16-bit program counter that is represented as PC, and one instruction register, and another one is temporary register. So these are all the registers which is available in the 8085 microprocessor. Let us see what is accumulator in detail. So the accumulator is a 8-bit register associated with ALU. The register A is an accumulator in the 8085. It is used to hold one of the operands of an arithmetic and logical operations. The final result of the arithmetic or logical operation is also placed in the accumulator. See, the main purpose of this accumulator is, for example, if you perform an operation like A plus B, you assume that C is the output, right? Here A and B are input and C is the output, right? So when this kind of operation is performed in the 8085 microprocessor, what happens? One of the value, either A or B, any one of the value will be stored temporarily in the accumulator. So because it's accumulator is a register, it's a storage device, so one of the value, input value, will be stored in the accumulator, either A or B, and after another one value will be stored in some other memory location, right? So after performing the ALU operation, arithmetic or logical operation, the result, right? Finally the result will be there, no? The C. The result again will be stored on the accumulator, where the previous data will be overwrite by the output value. So this is the process of accumulator or A register. Next, general purpose registers. The 8085 microprocessor contains 6 8-bit general purpose registers. They are B, D, C, E, H and L register that we already I have shown in the previous slide. To hold data of 16-bit combinations of two 8-bit register can be employed. So the combination of two 8-bit registers is called register pair. The valid register pair in the 8085 are DE, BC and HL. The HL pair is used to act as a memory pointer. See here, so these are all the 6 registers B, D, C, E, H and L, 8-bit registers. So uh, when you pair up like BC, DE and HL, it can be it can hold the 16-bit data because each one which has the capability of holding 8-bit data. So when you pair up, when you combine two registers altogether, so it can have a 16-bit data. So these single registers which is combined together, that is called as a register pair. So likewise, we are if you are pairs the register, you could have the these registers will be paired DE, BC and HL. And here one specific thing is there, HL pair is used for a memory pointer. And the next thing, program counter. It is a 16-bit special purpose register. It is used to hold the address of memory of the next instruction to be executed. It will hold the next bit next. It will hold the address of the memory of the next instruction to be executed. It keeps tracks the instruction in a program while they are being executed. The microprocessor increments the content of the next program counter during the execution of an instruction, so that at the end of the execution of an instruction, it points to the next instruction address in the program. So this is the purpose of the program counter. And the next one is a stack pointer. It is represented as SP, where the program counter is represented as a PC and stack pointer is represented as a SP. So it is a 16-bit special function register used as a memory pointer. A stack is nothing but a portion of RAM, that is a random access memory. In the stack, the content of only those registers are saved which are needed in the later part of the program. The stack pointer controls the addressing of the stack. The stack pointer contains the address of the top element of the stored in the stack. And instruction registers. The instruction register holds the opcode. Here, what is opcode? Opcode, it is some peculiar word, right? It is nothing but of a operation code or instruction code, that is called as a opcode. Opcode is the OP, which represents operation. So code, we know that is nothing but of your zeros and ones, right? So this is the instruction register. Then temporary register, it is an 8-bit temporary 8-bit register associated with the ALU. It holds data during an arithmetic logic operation. It is used by the microprocessor. It is not accessible to the programmer. See, this particular register cannot be accessed by the programmer or user. User cannot access this register. It is being used by the microprocessor for this internal operations. And the next thing, flags. See, generally, what is flag? See, flag, if you show instead of gesture, or instead of talking to your friend or anyone in front of you, if you show something like a flag or some cloth, some white cloth, if you are showing, means that means that person in front of you or your friend will understand that you are showing the peace. You are giving some instructions through the flag, right? So likewise, the microprocessor flag, which is used to show the status of the microprocessor. That is the main purpose of the flag. So the flag the Intel 8085 microprocessor contains 5 flip-flops. So flip-flop we already know that is nothing but of flip-flops are storage elements which is used to store the single bit data, right? To serve as a status flag. This flip-flops are reset or set according to the condition which arise during an arithmetic or logical operation. So there are 5 status flags of Intel 8085 that are carry flag CS, then parity flag P, auxiliary carry flag AC, and zero flag Z, and sign flag S. So next, data and address bus. The Intel 8085 is a 8-bit microprocessor. Its data bus is 8-bit wide and therefore 8 bits of data can be transmitted in parallel from or to the microprocessor. Then Intel 8085 requires an address bus of 16-bit wide as the memory address are 16 bits. So since the memory address is 16-bit, it requires 16-bit address bus. But whereas the data is nothing but of 8-bit, so which requires only the 8-bit data bus. Address bus 16 and data bus 8-bit. And the 8 most significant bits of the address are transmitted by the address bus A bus, that is pins A8 to A15. Then the 8 least significant bits of the address are transmitted by the address or data bus AD bus pins AD0 to AD7. So this will act as either data bus or address bus. So according to the signal given to it, it will be act accordingly. Next, address bus and data bus. Here A8 to A15. A8 to A15. These are all the address bus and are used for most significant bits of the memory address or 8-bit of input or output address. Then AD0 to AD7, that is input and output. These are time multiplexed address or data bus. They serve dual purpose. I already told it can be act as a data, either data bus or address bus according to the input, according to the instruction given to it. So they are used for least significant 8 bits of the memory address or I by O address during the first cycle. Again, they are used for data during second and third clock cycles. Then control and status signals. ALE. ALE stands for address latch enable signal. ALE goes high during the first clock cycle of a machine cycle and enables the lower 8 bits of the address to be latched either into the memory or external latch. Then IO by M, that is IO is nothing but of input and output. M is your memory. So it is a status signal which distinguish whether the address is for memory or IO device. And S0 and S1, these are all the status signal sent by the microprocessor to distinguish the various types of operation given the below table. So when S1 and S0 both are 00, the operation will be performed is halt operation. And if S1 is 0 and S0 is 1, then write operation will be performed. Then if S1 is 1, S0 is 0, then read operation will be performed. When the next condition, when both the status signals S1 and S0 both are 1, then fetch operation will be performed. Then RD is a signal to control read operation. When it goes low, the selected I by O device or memory is read. Then write, WR, is a signal to control write operation. When it goes low, the data is written into the selected memory or I by O location. The next, ready, It is used by the microprocessor to sense whether the peripheral is ready to transfer a data or not. If ready is high, the peripheral is ready. If it is low, the microprocessor waits till it goes high. Then interrupt and external initial signals. Hold. Hold indicates that another device is requesting for the use of address and data bus. So the external device which is used to which uses the address and data bus, that at the time it can use the hold signal. Then this one hold, if the hold is granted, then it should give the acknowledgement, right? So that is nothing but of a HLDA. So HLDA is a hold acknowledgement signal which indicates that the hold request has been received. After the removal of the request, the HLDA goes low. When it is acknowledgement is there, then it will be in active condition. It is a high condition. When after the removal of this request, HLDA goes to low, that is 0. Then INTR. The INTR is an interrupt request signal. So interrupt request is nothing but of a disturbance. So you are making some disturbance when some process is going on. So that this interrupt, this is a very important concept, because when there is a some urgent operation, when we require some immediate operation performed in the microprocessor, though it is performing some other operation, we must interrupt the we must interrupt the microprocessor by means of interrupt signal. So this is the purpose of interrupt signal, interrupt request, right? So it is INTR's interrupt request signal. Among interrupts, it has the lowest priority. The INTR is enabled or disabled by software. INTA. INTA is a interrupt acknowledgement sent by the microprocessor after INTR is received. It is like HL hold and HLDA. Then RST 5.5, 6.5 and 7.5 and trap. These are all the interrupts. When the interrupt is recognized, the next instruction is executed from a fixed location in the memory as given below. So that is given in this below table. Then RST 7.5, RST 6.5 and RST 5.5 are the restart interrupts which causes an internal restart to be automatically inserted. The trap TRAP has the highest priority among the interrupts. The order of the priority of interrupt is as follows: trap highest priority, then RST 7.5, this is the next one after the trap, then RST 6.5, then RST 5.5, then INTR. INTR is the lowest priority interrupt and the highest priority interrupt is trap. And the reset signals. So here there are two reset signals is there. One is for input and another one is for output. So for the input, that is a reset in, and the for output reset out is there. So reset in is nothing but of it resets the program counter PC, which I already shown in the previous slides, to 0. That is a PC to 0. It also resets the interrupt enable and HLDA flip-flops. The CPU is held in the reset condition till reset is not applied. Then reset out, that is output signal. Reset out indicates that the CPU is being reset. Next, clock signals X1 and X2. These are all the input clock signals. X1 and X2 are terminals to be connected to an external crystal oscillator which drives an internal circuitry of a microprocessor. It is used to produce a suitable clock for the operation of the microprocessor. So if you perform the operation of a microprocessor with the external clock signal generator, that is your crystal oscillator, at that time you supposed to use this X1 and X2 signals, clock signals. And clock out, CLK output. See, CLK is a clock output for user which can be used for other digital ICs. Its frequency is same at which the processor operates. So to operate the other ICs, you could use this clock CLK output. So these are all the clock signals which is available in the 8085 microprocessor. And serial I/O signals. So there are serial I/O signals. There are two serial I/O signals are there. One is for input, another one is for output. That is namely called as SID and SOD. So SID is a data line for serial input. The data on the line is loaded in the 7th bit of the accumulator when RAM instruction is executed. Then SOD output. SOD is a data line for serial output. The 7th bit of the accumulator is output on the SOD line when SIM instruction is executed. So these things we can discuss in the instruction operations of your 8085. Then finally the power supply, we already know it requires plus 5 DC voltage power supply to perform the operation in the microprocessor, and VSS is your ground, that is ground reference. And already, and again one more concept is there. We have so far we discussed only the microprocessor. There is another one term that is called microcontroller. You could hear both the things and you could have some confusion between these two. So let me clear the confusion between the 80 that is our microprocessor and microcontroller. So microprocessor and microcontroller is the common word. According to the Intel, it has microprocessor, the basic microprocessor is 8085 and for basic microcontroller is 8051. See what is the difference between these two, microprocessor and microcontroller in general, not only for Intel, it is applicable for all the microprocessor and microcontroller. See, microprocessor I already told, it is a brain of a for example, it is a brain of your computer. Like if you just for an analogy, I tell you, you take our human body, you take your whole human body. In the whole human body, the major part of your whole human body is your brain, right? Other than other things like hand, leg, or hair, nose, eyes. So among all those things, your brain is a very, very important thing. Like here in any in my computer, your microprocessor is a acts as a brain, so it is a main thing. But whereas in your micro, and again only by the brain you cannot do the operation. For example, if you need to take one object from your table, right? So the your brain instructs you to take that object. So you have only brain, you do not have any other thing, you do not have, assume you do not have any hand or leg, right, in your body. Then what you will do, you cannot do, right? So that's the concept. With the brain, with alone the brain, you cannot do any kind of operations. So that is only happening in your microprocessor having only the brain, only the processor it has. There is no devices like input device or output device. If you need to have an input and output, we need to combine, we need to additionally add the input and output ICs to perform those kind of operations. But whereas when you see the microcontroller, this microcontroller is nothing but of a brain with whole body. So the body contains of human body contains of your leg and hand, fingers, everything is there. So this microcontroller which has the microprocessor and other input and output devices, right? This is the difference. Here in a microprocessor only the processor will be there, but here in your microcontroller the processor along with your input device there, it will be there, and output will be there, right? So but another difference here, in a microprocessor it can be used for a general purpose application. Any for any program can be given, program can be altered, and any according to the user's need, the program can be given to the microprocessor and you can get the output, required output. But in your microcontroller, since it is everything which is embedded on the single chip, that is a processor and a memory, everything which is internally integrated, we cannot change the operation of a microcontroller. Only the specific kind of operation which we already prefaced data which is given in the microcontroller will be performed. Prefetched instruction, pre-given coding instruction will be performed. So only the specific operations can be performed by the microcontroller, but whereas your microprocessor can be used for general purpose application because it has only the processor. So input and output can be changed by the user at any time. But here in your microcontroller, since everything which is embedded internally, you cannot even change the RAM size or ROM size and everything. So only the specific operation is will be performed by the microcontroller. So when you conclude this microprocessor and microprocessor is used for a general purpose applications. So anytime any kind of a application can be performed by the microprocessor. But whereas your microcontroller is called as a specific purpose microcontroller, it is used to only the specific operations, right? So the microprocessor is a microprocessor IC, microprocessor, the IC which is inside your microcontroller. Microcontroller consists of microprocessor and other components in a single IC. But whereas your microprocessor, it is a single, only the single IC, it can perform only the processing operation. For any other, for processing, you are supposed to give input signal, right? So the input requires the input device IC, and also for to execute the output in a particular output section, you need a output ICs and output devices. This is your microprocessor. So this hope you can clearly understand and distinguish the difference between these two, microprocessor and microcontroller, right? Thank you.